I just thought it'd be fitting that I actually explain why why we've been talking about Ben 10, what my connection is with the franchise. And it's basically, I've been watching the show when it first aired back in December of 2005, and I just came across it randomly. It was on, so I was just like, oh, I'll watch that. And I've basically been a fan of it ever since then. So much that I've collected the toys as the show was airing. I wasn't able to collect all of them, but there's just some of them I was collecting as the show was airing. And basically, and I was also buying the DVDs. These are the individual volumes. I have since started replacing them with complete season sets, but hey, I like keeping these around because they're something I had when I started watching this show, or more specifically when I was first collecting it. And we also have trading cards that I collected. And grab the last one. And I also have collected some of the video games as well, like Protector of Earth, Ultimate Alien Cosmic Destruction, Omniverse, the first Omniverse game. I have played the other games, but I just don't have physical copies of them at this moment. Yeah, I mean, it's literally just them. Yeah, that's just a little history of me, the franchise. And I also wanted to introduce Troy and, well, initially it was just Troy, but then Nanette said she was watching it with him, so I brought her in as well, so I could hear both of their opinion on the shows as we were going through. Welcome, Autobots and Decepticons. My name is Matthew Flynn, the Gladiator of Kaon, and I am joined by Troy Pacelli, also known as Carton, the Klingon Cleric, and Netta of Netta's Network. Welcome.
Hello.
Good morning.
So today we're talking about Season 6, and we're over halfway through Omniverse now. We're nearly finished.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you have any opening thoughts on this season before we actually start talking about it?
Well, no. Like we were saying back in the green room, it's actually been a couple weeks now since I've seen this, so I gotta kind of refresh my memory a little bit. I've had a rough couple weeks here. It's been a lot going on over here, so got to get my head back in the game here.
Oh yeah, you lost a family member, didn't you?
Yeah. My brother passed away.
Yeah, I know what that's like. I've lost at least 4 members of my family.
Man, sorry.
All within all within a few years of each other.
Yeah.
And because of the strained relationship with my extended family, I wasn't even invited to the funeral of my most recent family member that passed away.
Man.
That's neither here nor there. That's
sure.
Probably too personal, but oh well.
Oh, thanks for sharing. But yeah, so let's get back into this.
Yep.
And just looking back at my notes here, we're starting out with a female empowerment episode, sort of.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. Well, I didn't get that vibe from the whole episode, but there were definitely parts of the episode where
and actually, I'm sure this is also the kind of episode that, the so-called modern SJW feminists would actually see as something to pick apart. Oh, yeah, well, this isn't female empowerment because it's all about the man. This wouldn't pass the Bechdel test or whatever it is.
Even though I'm pretty sure that was a joke rather than a genuine attempt to judge films.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So
so
but
episode
when it
1,
comes to
cat fight.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait, what were you going to say?
No, yeah, the episode's called Catfight because we got two girls fighting over Ben, basically.
Why?
Well, it's a good question.
I mean, if you think about it, he's arrogant. He's a slob. Why?
Oh, because I guess he's important.
Because he's a superhero.
Yeah, he's a superhero. He saved the universe. Blah 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 blah. But I think it's more about the girls' egos than it is about Ben himself.
Yeah. Because Luma was the only, like, she's basically defeating all the other male Tetramans, and Ben as a Tetraman was the only one that was able to defeat her.
Yeah.
Although she then later lost a fight to Julie, I think it was.
Oh gosh, I don't even want to
I think
think
it
too
was-
much about how that could be warped these days.
Yeah.
Now, when I was looking for my notes on this, I accidentally came across the actual, like, Ben 10 to watch the episodes. So I'm going to drop the link for that in case anyone wants to watch this season 6 of the Ben 10 Omniverse. They can.
Oh yeah.
So I just dropped that link. And I tried clicking on one link just to make sure it worked, but for me it's spinning, but then again I've been having computer issues, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
We also have, apart from Luma and Princess Atea fighting over Ben, we also have the crazy cat lady from a few episodes ago.
Yes.
And speaking of cats, we got Ben turning into Rook, and what happened to him in this episode? He became huge.
Wait, don't you mean Wrath?
Yeah, Wrath. Didn't I say Wrath?
You
No.
you said Rook.
I meant, yeah, I'm sorry. I meant Wrath. He turns into Wrath, and he got swole.
I did notice he looked larger than normal. No idea why. I think that was just a one-off thing.
I'm pretty sure that was an error in perspective on the part of the artist. But I was like, the heck? You do a cat themed episode and you make the cat twice as large?
Why not?
I also found it funny that Raph's personality was mostly intact. It's just he would instead this time he's actually like doing what she says.
Yeah.
Also, at the very start of the episode, when they're in a cinema watching a a Sumo Slammers movie, I actually noticed the Godzilla roar in the background, which is strange because Toho tend to be very restrictive on like who they actually let play the Godzilla roar, and anyone that plays it without them knowing or having permission, they go down hard on them. So I'm going to assume the Godzilla roar in this episode was different enough that Toho wouldn't like go after them for it.
Yep.
I have a feeling these like of episodes that aren't really related to the overall story are probably going to not really have much to say about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be maybe overstating it to say this seemed like kind of a filler episode, but yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I feel like when the episode is not specifically on the main topic, it's kind of like they were trying to fill up their season runtime.
Yeah, they only tend to dedicate like one episode in the middle of the season and then like the final two-part as relating to the overall story. At least that's the pattern I've noticed with this show.
Yeah. And I mean, what's to say other than it was an episode about two very powerful alien women fighting over Ben and a crazy cat lady.
Yeah. And both Atea and Luma having to kind of work together to try and free Ben from whatever her name is. I forgot her name.
Nancy, or I don't know, something. Chan.
Now, what would have been interesting is if things were thwarted because of cat hair. Like getting into things.
Yeah, right.
And that threw the monkey wrench into things. Because I know how many times when my cat was still living that his cat hair would get into literally everything. And so you had to be careful. Like if you had a painting project, you had to make sure that none of his hair flew into it and ruined it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a definite problem with both of my cats. I mean, 90% of the house has fur on it somewhere.
Or just one of those things where, you know, if something's on a counter, a cat has to push it off.
My cat did that a couple days ago with my 360.
Oh.
I have no idea what he actually did because I wasn't in the room. I just heard a loud thud, came back up and saw my 360 was on the floor.
Yeah, they push things onto the floor. It's like, nope, my spot.
Yeah. Although my cat does like to claw at the posters on the wall. I don't think he even has a specific reason for doing it. He just does it when he's in the room.
We also had Ben turning into aliens specifically because of, you know, the themes. We had him turning into forearms for obvious reasons. What is it? Bullfrag?
Yeah, bullfrag.
Yeah, and Wrath specifically because of the other characters that he's interacting with.
Yeah. And then near the middle of the episode, Rook, I forgot the name of her name, but like his girlfriend from Rhinoganda, her. I've completely forgotten her name, but you know, these three here, when they're like chasing after Ben as Wrath, they're calling like help from the plumbers, and they give them this device that will turn Ben back to normal or into a different alien.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like a moment where Luma and Atea are like constantly taking that device away from each other and turning Ben into like the specific species that they are. So Luma grabs it, turns Ben into a Tetraman, and then Atea takes it back and turns him into Bullfrog.
And maybe I'm giving this episode, you know, too much thought, or, you know, giving the writers too much credit, but it did cause me to start to think. You realize he's not really those things that you're turning him into. You know, it really is the device that he wears that turns him into that. He's human, you know, so maybe if you want to find a boyfriend, maybe find a boyfriend of your own species.
Yeah, it's a temporary metamorphosis. It's not what he really is.
Although Ben can modify it to remain alien for as long as he wants. You know, because we're using the lifeform lock feature.
Sure.
And I suppose mentally he's still human, but biologically he is basically that alien species for however long the show wants him to be that alien, because sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's like a few seconds.
Right.
Or sometimes they want him to be a completely different alien.
But yeah, that was an episode.
Okay, next episode, collect this.
Yep. Okay.
And this episode has... Oh, let me bring the... There we go. Yeah, this episode actually follows up on something that we saw briefly in an earlier season. And that's the Ben 10 show that is happening like in universe. And we have an actor playing Ben, but he's very clearly different from Ben.
Oh yeah.
Because it looks like he's in like his 30s.
Yep. Much larger, wears like an armor kind of outfit.
Yeah.
Kind of the way you'd expect a dramatization of a real person to be. They gotta, mold them more into the formula of your average television show.
Yeah. I did find it weird that when that like TV show version of Ben appeared, everyone was like talking about him and saying like the real Ben 10 for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though the Ben we've been following is clearly the real one.
Right.
I think that's part of the joke though.
Exactly. And we also have an overarching theme that kind of plays to the the geeks that would be fans of this show, who kind of get the whole idea of collecting toys and being a fan of something. There's a lot of cultural references and touchstones, in this episode.
Yeah. And we have a very obvious homage to Galactus.
Yes.
With this little green dude.
Yep.
Except he's in Thanos' throne.
Right.
So I suppose he's kind of a combination of the two. Well, visually at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It might just be me, but this character kind of felt like insulting in a way, because like obviously he's meant to be a collector, and he's often meant to be like a super fan and collector, except he's being portrayed as very like whiny and very like stuck up and very picky. And it's like I'm pretty sure a lot of collectors aren't like that.
But you'd be surprised. There's some hardcore fans that are. They're definitely the let's face it, just in the toy collecting community, you have communities that are like toy Karens is the only way I could think to put it.
Yeah, they've got the very nasally voice and actually.
Yeah, exactly. And they have this whole attitude, if you don't think about things the way we do, you're not a real collector and you're actually a danger to society almost. This is huge in the Star Wars community where you have people like Stan Solo and whatnot who make reproductions of almost entirely unattainable action figures so that people can have, in their collection, that one toy that you could never get otherwise.
Or simply make them so they're affordable.
Yeah, because, the originals are going for like $600 and he, makes them for like 40, and it's, it's, just so that you could complete your diorama or whatever. But you got people out there that just go nuts that are like, this is the same as counterfeiting and blah 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 blah. And it doesn't matter that that they're not real. Someday you're going to pass away and your collection's going to go to someone else and they may not know, and then they'll put it on eBay as though it was original. And it's like,
yeah,
dude, slow your roll. We're talking about toys here, and if you're so concerned about this, then just be careful when you buy, because the fact is, I don't care if we're talking about action figures or we're talking about great works of art. These things have been counterfeited for centuries. You know, as long as things have been made by man, they've been recreated by man. And if you are concerned about whether or not it's an original, maybe know what you're getting and know how to check. I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah,
totally went off on a rant because that's totally in my
yeah.
wheelhouse. And yeah, so you're right. There are people like that out there.
Pretty sure that happens every time Hasbro releases a Skywarp figure. It ends up being very difficult to find, very expensive, and then they release another one, and then that one becomes the difficult one and the more expensive one, and the one
Yeah,
before it then becomes a lot easier to get out.
that really does fall into the related but separate thing where that has to do with distribution and you know how Hasbro gets toys out to different places. Um, I mean, I watch a lot of these videos about this kind of stuff, and you got people talking about the last wave of figures and how they're oftentimes just dumped into some other market, and that's why the last, I don't remember, last 7 figures or whatever of the Return of the Jedi figures are so coveted because they were only able to be gotten in like Canada and South America or something like that. And of
Yeah,
course, this was back before there was an internet where people could sell them on the secondary market. So suddenly, they were sitting in garage sales and stuff. And then when the internet came along, they were going for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And that's exactly what leads to things like, boutique outfits making, duplicates of these figures so that you could get that yak face or that blue snaggletooth or whatever it is for a reasonable amount of money. But then again, I hear from a lot of people in Australia and the UK that are like, look, we can't get this figure or this, vehicle or whatever. And, even, well-intentioned people that aren't trying to like gouge anybody, I'll buy it for you, or you just pay me cost and shipping. Well, shipping can be very, very expensive to get something overseas.
Yeah. Getting anything to England from the U.S., Australia, even Canada sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd figure Canada would be a heck of a lot cheaper because, it's like
It's
attached.
just over land,
But
yeah.
no.
But no.
Because, like, we have a YouTuber that we listen to, Bosk's Bounty. He's in Australia, if I recall correctly.
Boss, no, he's in UK.
He's in the UK, okay. He was looking for a particular Bosk figure, and we happen to have one, so we're like, and he's like, yeah, I cannot get this here. It just doesn't exist. He goes in to try and find it here. It was running him like, I think it was something really crazy, like $200. Well,
But that's because he was
yeah.
going off of eBay and
Yeah, just
markup
trying to
and
find
stuff
it
like
anywhere.
that.
So we just contacted and said, we got an extra, we'll send it to you. And I think we kind of just split the cost of the shipping, and that's what we sent it to him for no other extra cost. Yeah. We're just like, okay, shipping's going to be this much. Split the difference with us. It's yours.
Okay, we've totally gotten off the rails here. You got me
Yeah.
talking about something I'm passionate about, but let's get back to
Ben 10.
collect this.
That was our commercial.
Right.
I just also noticed the fake Ben 10. He kind of looks like a early 90s Image Comics version of Ben.
Yeah.
All the pouches in various spots, like one on his leg, one on his elbow, one on his arm there.
That is
and
a
multiple
trope
Omnitrix
of,
like symbols.
that is a trope of the action superhero, right? And it's like, what would Ben 10 need any of that for? His powers are just his form. He doesn't need pouches of stuff.
This is yet another episode where Ben destroys something, like somebody's shop in this case, and then doesn't take ownership of it. Just kind of like, oops.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you just destroyed somebody's livelihood, and you can't change into one of your Mr. Fix-It aliens and fix it for him?
Right.
Yeah, I notice they kind of go back and forth on that. Sometimes he like apologizes to the person for destroying their stuff, but then other times he doesn't really pay it much attention.
Yeah, it's like that's just his selfishness showing up. Like I'm more important, so it doesn't matter. It's like you just destroyed somebody's livelihood, dude.
Well, I also, yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit down on the writers too, because they used to be so consistent, where you'd have these great arcs and things that would tie back to even previous series, let alone previous seasons. And now it's just, okay, let's just make it up as we go and completely change the character if it suits the story or not even the story we want to tell, just the joke we want to squeeze in here this episode.
Yeah. Like, for instance, Simeon here. I'm not exactly a fan of this design for him.
Yeah.
Although, technically I would have preferred it if he'd have actually been dead back in Alien Force. You know, when they implied that he was killed, but he actually wasn't.
Yeah.
Also, these first two episodes are playing the Galactic Monsters version of the opening.
Yep.
But that's because these two episodes were part of that season in the US airing order, even if they're technically not a part of that season.
Right.
In the actual like production of the show. I don't really have much else to say about this episode.
Nope. Yeah, this is another one of those. It's not on the main track, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay, next episode is The Vengers.
Yeah.
Very obvious what that's referencing.
The Avengers, which is,
Exactly.
Emma Peel and John Steed.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, those are the only Avengers in my mind.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, we got a group of would-be superheroes that want to take out Ben because...
Yeah, they all have a personal grudge with Ben.
You know, it's like the Superman Revenge Squad, from the comics.
Yeah. I don't understand why Kangaroo Commando is here. Last I checked, he was like a genuine hero.
Yeah.
And it was the actor's like brother who was the villain. So I feel like both the actor playing the hero and also his evil brother, I feel like both of them probably should have been in this episode.
Yeah.
To at least address why the villainous brother is running around as Kangaroo Commando, and his brother isn't doing anything about it, or even showing up in the slightest.
And it doesn't seem like this was as well thought out as some of the other episodes.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. They pull in, characters from older episodes just cuz. Not because there's a real good reason or need to.
Just kind of like filler, like
Mhm.
It's lazy writing.
Oh, there's Google making the comparison for us.
Oh, right, exactly.
And of course, it's the differing egos of the actual team members that cause them to cause like a whole bunch of friction in their group, which is standard in like supervillain groups. I also like the fact that Ben kind of, on some level, recognizes that and just steps back and just lets them start like fighting each other or devolve into fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode kind of remember back in Ultimate Alien when Captain Nemesis first appeared, and Ben mentioned about like having a poster of him on his wall and like looking up to him and everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I suppose, came out of nowhere because obviously that character was introduced in that show, so it kind of ends up feeling kind of like they're placing that character at that point, but like making him a little more important. This episode does kind of give us a flashback of like, I'm going to assume 11-year-old Ben like watching Captain Nemesis like be a hero, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, Kangaroo Commander is a bad guy in the past. For some reason.
Again, because that's what they needed for this episode. So it's just what they do. And it really is kind of annoying to me, to be honest with you. We also, for whatever reason, they wanted to make a whole bunch of Marvel references. So you have references to the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Spider-Man. Just 'cause.
Yeah. And we have Captain Nemesis' armor looking a lot more like an Iron Man armor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, more so an MCU Iron Man armor. Because he's got the shoulder mounted missile launchers.
Yep.
And we also have Will Harang also is a part of this. Obviously not as a member of the group, but rather he's just sort of making them look better than they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
It might just be me, but Will Harang is starting to grate on me at this point. Might just be me.
That's also one of those things where, yeah, Ben could have potentially have wrecked the food shop. What's it called? Can't remember the name of it. And the proprietor is just thanking these new Vengers for stopping the fight without wrecking the place, just knowing Ben. It's like, well, Ben, you had that coming because you always wreck places. Because he doesn't think about where he's at or what could happen. He just destroys.
Yeah.
Like the early versions of the cartoon Underdog, he destroyed everything in trying to help, so he wasn't much of a hero.
I also found it strange that later in the episode, Will Harang is just an alien for some reason. Or is in costume, I have no idea which.
Hmm.
They never confirm that. He's just suddenly a humanoid squid alien, and then he just stays that way for the rest of the episode.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff, if you're going to do stuff like that, explain it, you know? Or at least let there be a reason for it.
He got stuck?
Don't know.
I also found it funny that both Billy and Nemesis, at one point when they're like against each other, they're just firing at each other with cannons from the top of both their towers. That's about everything that you have on this to say about this episode.
Yep.
Yes.
We are just blasting through these.
Yep.
I'm sure it won't stay that way when we get to like the once we've actually finished Omniverse and we've moved on to something else. Okay, next episode, The Rooters of All Evil.
Are we going out of
And,
order? Cough it up.
What?
What about cough it up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have the next one.
I didn't even realize. I just like didn't even realize I was like out of order there. Okay, actual next episode, cough it up.
In which Arjit actually does cough things up.
Yep, because he acquires a
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he acquires a Tekadon ship thing. I forgot what they specifically called it.
You know, the Tekadons really need to have better control over their very, very powerful technology. Everyone seems to be able to just get a hold of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because Arjit swallows the thing in an attempt to keep all the other characters from getting a hold of it.
Yep.
Not paying any attention to the fact that it's dehydrated. I think they said it was. Yeah, I think they said it was dehydrated, so you just put it in water to activate it. And obviously there's maybe not water, but like there is liquid and fluids inside the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no,
although they do kind of point out the fact that Arjit's kind of an idiot for that.
He absolutely is. But that actually is a real thing. If you were to eat dehydrated anything, you know, it does bulk up in your stomach. So that's why.
Like vegetables.
Absolutely, or like dried fruits. That's why you should macerate, you know, dried fruits before you just start popping them in your gullet. Otherwise, you know, it bulks up and then you get sick.
Explode.
Yeah. I have also noticed that
guys, I gotta step away. I'll be right back.
Oh, is that the Doctor Who theme?
Yeah, that's his phone ringtone.
Ah, okay. Sounded like an older like Doctor Who theme.
Yeah, we're definitely older Doctor fans.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that when Arjit actually swallowed the dehydrated ship troop carrier thing, they definitely, if this wasn't a kid show, that definitely could have turned graphic very quickly.
Yeah.
Because instead it like made his stomach feel weird and then like vomited up like a thing that would then grow into like a Tekadon, and every now and then he would just keep like coughing one up. And the good thing this is a kid show, because they probably would have just like grown inside him and then burst out of him.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, especially since Arjun didn't know what dehydrated meant, and it's like, oh, there's something doesn't feel right in my tummy.
And we also have Spanner, who's returned.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this kind of running thing where Jimmy kind of leaves the area and then Spanner enters right afterwards. And it's like, it starts making Ben and Rook think that Jimmy is Spanner.
Well, yeah, it's like...
But they never actually confirmed that.
You get that, where it's like, is that, you know, really so-and-so? Like, you know, Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah. Although I did notice in this instance, Jimmy and Spanner their physical size and possibly age, but they don't quite physically match up. I'm pretty sure Spanner is slightly taller than Jimmy. And also Spanner looks like he does at least some exercise, whereas Jimmy doesn't look like he leaves the house that often, or actually like does any exercise that often.
Just like read through my notes to see if there's anything else that I want to comment on.
Yeah. I do like that Siphon is still trying to establish himself as like a threat in his own right, rather than just him being the servant of Vilgax.
And there's one point where Spanner goes to get quote-unquote chili fries, but they're actually alien worms.
Yeah.
Like, you.
Sorry, guys. I am still dealing with some family stuff, so.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Would you like us to repeat what we said, or should we just like let you say what you think of this episode?
No, yeah, this is to me, I'd say this is just another episode of pulling in the old villains, and you know, hey, look, we remember what we did in the past, you know. Okay. Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, the crab here doesn't have the same voice actor. Or at least I'm pretty sure it's not the same voice actor, because he doesn't sound anything like how he did before.
Yeah.
And this episode also really wants us to think Jimmy is Spanner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know he's not, but it's going to take some time to prove that.
Yeah. They never actually reveal who Spanner is. Pretty sure there's still at least two more seasons before they reveal who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they reveal who he is in the final season. And we also have Thunder Pig, who's very obviously a Lion-O, or meant to look like Lion-O from the original Thundercats. Pretty sure they even make a joke about the fact that he always like constantly like says his own name. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this one.
Nope.
Okay. Now we're moving
Now
on
we're
to
onto the
rooters of all evil.
Yeah. Obviously referring money being the root of all evil.
Yeah. Or I suppose just the common phrase of the roots of, what was it, root of all evil, or roots of all evil, something like that. And we also have, this probably isn't related to the episode itself, but probably more behind the scenes production. Apparently, Derek J. Wyatt actually will draw Jet Ray for the show, but the character has to be female. Because you have this, like, female Jet Ray character, who I've forgotten what her name is. Apparently he doesn't want to draw Jet Ray himself, but as long as the character's female, then apparently, it's perfectly fine to draw the character.
And
It's
because
definitely
we have
something
to
I'll
have
never understand.
and because we have to have, team names for everybody, the Plumbers kids get a superhero team name, the Amalgam
Yeah.
Kids, because
Yeah.
that's what makes them special. They're hybrids. They're amalgams.
Kevin's the only one that calls them that. And I think
Yeah,
he's
but
more
you know
calling
that'll
them that
come
as a way of
back
like
again, I'm sure.
describing them rather than giving them like a team name. Yeah, so this episode introduces a Black Ops division of the plumbers called the Rooters, which are I find strange. Aren't the plumbers already kind of a Men in Black, Black Ops type organization already? Or at least in the
Yeah.
original series, that's kind of
That's
the
the same
angle they
kind
were
of
going.
mentality as Star Trek having their area section 13 or whatever it
Yeah,
is,
Section 31.
31, whatever. Stupid, you know, looking for reasons to add stuff that didn't exist before and give an explanation for why no one knew about it.
Yeah. Yes, and we also have Phil returns. Apparently, at some point, he became a member of the Rooters.
Because why not?
I do find it weird that he was in the Null Void for years, and then an episode in like a previous season, or during like present day, we then sent Phil back into the Null Void.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like more recently when he ended up becoming a member of the Rooters for some reason, even though he's technically been in the Null Void for long enough that he might have been a member before, like earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like anyone can get out of the null void.
Yeah, it really does seem that way.
Yeah. And we also have the current villain for maybe not the season, because he's not really in the whole season. He's only in this episode and in the last 2 episodes. We get the leader of the Rooters called Proctor Cervantes. But I'm curious what you think of like him as a villain.
I don't know. It seems like and I have to go back to the previous episodes where we were kind of saying they didn't seem to be that important in the overall scheme of things. We're now getting into the I mean, what, this is the fifth episode of the
Yeah, this is
season,
the 5th episode.
and we're really starting to now figure out, what the overarching story of the season is. And it's like, you wasted 4 episodes when we could have had a little bit more thought and time and subtlety put into the development. But yeah, I'm feeling a little salty about this season because of that.
Yeah. And of course we have Proctor Cervantes mentions about like Osmosians not being an actual word and being something that he made up, which is obviously a lie. I mean, he is the villain of the season, so it's obvious that we shouldn't trust what he says. But we do also get at the end of the episode where Max actually confronts him about implanting memories into his head to make him care about Kevin, and about him having a partner named Devin Levin and everything. Yep. And I'm just thinking, Max, what are you doing? He didn't say any of that. You're just giving him lies to use against everyone.
Yep.
I'd also like the fact that the Router's plumber outfits are basically black and grey versions of the same outfit that Rook is wearing.
Okay.
And they do actually make reference to that connection in the episode. Don't really have too much else to say about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Next episode, Lukic and Reba go to Area 51.
Yep. Because we have to go back there again.
Because reasons.
Right. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be a reference to Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Probably. I would personally guess that most of the Lukic and Reba go to and then insert whatever place they're traveling to. Because you have the previous one where where it's Lukic and Reba go to Mr. Smoothies.
I'm just getting the impression that the writers of Ben 10 just really like Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
This one I asked Thunderpig why he says his name all the time. He doesn't say, but he's like, Ben ate my father with cheese and mustard on a whole wheat baguette. That doesn't answer the question.
Yeah. I believe that's a later episode where Thunderpig says that.
Oh.
Wait, did I give you the wrong one? No, Luki and Dribba go to Area 51. Oh, I'm in the right notes.
You're very quiet.
Sorry.
Yes, this episode takes us back in time to what I assume is the 1950s. Given that we get a very young Grandpa Max.
Yep.
And we even very briefly see Professor Paradox before he becomes entangled in like time.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't say anything, he just sort of appears for a brief moment. They don't even say his name either. They just refer to him as Professor.
Well, of course, because they, don't give his name. We don't know his actual name. And he doesn't become Professor Paradox until he, has his, time travel accident.
Yeah. Although because he moves through time, technically he already is Professor Paradox before becoming Professor Paradox.
No, I don't think so.
No, I mean not in like the literal sense but more in the sense where the version of him that already has become Professor Paradox probably has at some point been to the past where before he had that accident.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole bunch of images here that aren't even related to the episode.
Pretty typical.
Yeah, like this one is related to the episode. This one is not related to this episode. I mean, it even says what season and episode it is right there. we also get a introduction of this character. It's a good thing, like the character's name is like right here under the image. Pretty sure it's pronounced Luli, I think, or Lule, or however you pronounce it.
No idea.
Yeah. Although this episode kind of gave me a the day the Earth stood still kind of vibe, which was probably intentional. You have an alien from space who's traveling to Earth with a larger robot that's really powerful. And he's come to spread peace or something like that. Although I feel like the this episode is kind of taking the idea of, you know, the day the Earth stood still, the original, how it kind of had a unintentionally had this kind of vibe of I forgot what the alien's name is, but where he like basically tells all the humans like what to like he basically tells them what to do and what will happen if they don't follow like his instructions or something like that, and it's supposed to be a well-meaning message, but it ends up coming across not quite as positive a message.
Yeah.
I feel like this episode's kind of taking that idea, but then actually having the character bringing peace actually be a bad person, a bad guy who just doesn't, or who just doesn't seem to understand that peace does not involve blasting things with laser guns.
Usually.
I may be looking too deep into that. I know the day the Earth is still kind of thing is like, obviously that's the film they're referencing with this, or with the actual general setup. Oh yeah, they even make a an Indiana Jones reference. Because when Blue Kitchen and Drevo are going through all the crates trying to find their ship, they open up one crate and they find the Ark.
Oh.
they find the Ark of the Covenant in there, and they just disregard it basically immediately. And we also get a comedic bit where Ben accidentally turns into vampire, and he completely forgets that it's during the day, and he starts starts burning. Although unlike an actual vampire, he doesn't like set on fire and just burn away immediately. He kind of just has like searing pain for a couple of minutes and slowly burns.
Well, at least he didn't start to sparkle.
Yeah, so that is better. Although he's clearly not a real vampire.
I feel gypped.
Maybe that's why he didn't just set on fire immediately. It's because he's not like a real vampire. He's only like an alien vampire. Yeah, and we have in the past we have Blue Kitchen and Drever accidentally take the ship to Earth to help us out with the robot and the guy controlling it. Except they don't actually use the device they took. Instead, Grandpa Max just accidentally crashes a plane into the robot and sends it falling down into the ground. and then the like the present day events of the episode kind of pick up with them searching for that device and actually using it against the giant robot. I did also find it kind of amusing that Blue Kitchen Dreaver, their personalities are still mostly identical, even when they were tadpoles.
Right.
That's about all I really have on this episode. I did notice that the actual wiki doesn't actually mention anything about the whole Day the Earth Stood Still kind of similarity, but that might not have been. I mean, to me, it was kind of obvious, but maybe to other people, it wasn't quite as obvious.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, next episode. No honor amongst bros.
Yep.
And this one, Rook is having issues because of the two aliens escaping their cells.
Yep. So, Fistrick and Fistina break out of prison, and the spray or liquid or whatever it is they use to melt the doors to get out, the gas that it creates goes up into the vent and ends up going into Rook's room, and he accidentally inhales it. And then he starts acting like Fistrick. So now we have two stoner meatheads. Although considering this is a kid show, they probably don't actually refer to Fistrick as a stoner meathead, but I'm pretty sure that's what he is. Yeah, the more I see of Fistrick, the more I don't really like his character.
Yeah.
I'd rather he just not be in the show as much.
Do you feel
And
like
also,
his outfit
yeah.
makes him like a Punisher ripoff?
What, Fistrick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose that could be part of his design. I don't know if they actually intended that though.
Although with the mask, it could be like Casey Jones from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. And also we have Blue Kitchen Dreamer like examining Rook to see if to try and like get rid of the effect from Rook.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end they then reveal that Rook's immune system, like, they can't flush it out, so they just have to wait until it just goes naturally. We also have a prize for a tournament that they go to. That
Mm-hmm.
is called the Golden Fist, which is very clearly meant to be an Infinity Gauntlet reference
Yeah.
because it has the 6 gems on it. It might also be referencing Vilgax's Golden Gauntlet from Alien Force, although that in itself was already referencing the Infinity Gauntlet anyway.
Right.
It's more of the Golden Fist in this episode visually resembles the gauntlet that Vilgax had.
It really does. Yeah.
And I can't seem to find an image. Yeah, I'm just checking the wiki to see if there are any more episodes that Fistrick are a part of, because I really don't want to see this character anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one more episode of this season that he's in, and then one more episode of the next season after that, and then he's not in the final season. We also have a returning character, or a returning side character from an earlier season, the Apoplexian from an earlier season. I forgot his name. I think it was Raph. I think he was his name. No, not Raph. No, actually, I've forgotten his name. There was a lot of like background characters that are obviously visually designed to look like other side characters from earlier in the season, or maybe like from other shows. Like this guy here is obviously the same species as one of the aliens from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of those 3 guys that were following the giant tick. We'd also have, that side joke about Fistine liking Rook. They definitely are continuing that. Don't really have much to say about this one. It's very standard and very much like a filler episode.
Yep. That's what I was thinking too.
Next episode, Universe versus Tennyson.
Yep. And now...
Go
ahead.
This episode follows up on a plot line that was started all the way back in the first season of Omniverse.
Yep. Basically, what could have been just kind of shrugged off as humorous, recreating the universe exactly the way it was, except it's not exactly the same way because Mr. Smoothie looks different.
And tastes slightly different.
Or it tastes slightly different. Well, wasn't it also the sign outside looked different?
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
sign was
taste was
was
different.
old. The sign it was the sign and the taste of the smoothies that was
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
quite the same.
And so now we're going to take that little bit of continuity and completely pull it apart. And, you know, in fairness, I think there is one clever thing. They do talk about how they basically kind of tongue in cheek use the rewriting of the universe as an explanation for things like different art styles and continuity
Yeah,
errors and things like that.
yeah. They bring up an image of Azimuth in the three different art styles that he's appeared in. His designs. They actually bring up pictures of the three of them, and they draw attention to the fact that he looks different.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty sure that wasn't necessarily Ben recreating the universe that caused that change. I think they were more implying that Celestial Sapiens themselves are just doing, like, making changes like that
Yeah.
themselves, either intentionally or unintentionally. I have no idea which. They weren't really that sure. They weren't really that, like, clear on that. I also noticed that one of the members of the core was a hybrid. I think this is the first time I've actually seen a hybrid in Omniverse. It's amazing how, like, minor of a character they've become since they were introduced.
Right, right, right.
They were the main villains of 2 whole seasons, and they made multiple appearances in later seasons after that. And then we get to Omniverse, and this one here is the only one that appears,
Right.
or the only one that I recall seeing.
So,
Yeah, there's the there's the image of, like, the 3 different art styles for Azimuth.
right. And so we have in one way it could be thought of as clever, you know, especially if you take it as tongue in cheek. Oh yeah, we're
Yeah,
explaining away, differences over series and stuff like that. The other the other aspect is kind of a lazy way of dealing with things. It's like, oh, well, we never have to really explain it because it's just rebooting of the universe. It happens all the time. Um,
yeah.
and then, of course, there's, the whole bumpy headed Klingon thing. You could have just left it alone. You didn't have to explain it. Now that you've explained it, you know, it's got to hold up to this explanation that you've created.
And they're probably not really gonna do it, like, draw attention to this again after this point.
Right.
And we even have this Galvin lawyer who's helping out the different villains that Ben puts away, because he's like using legal loopholes to get them out of prison.
Yeah.
And then Ben has to actually, like, call him to help him, like, with the court case that he is now in.
Yeah. Which, having recently been paying very close attention to several different, major court cases here in the United States, kind of makes me realize how important defense attorneys are. A lot of people, are like, how could you defend criminals? People that are obviously criminals. And I've come to realize how important a good defense attorney is because, look, yes, maybe they are, criminals, and 90% of the people that they defend are criminals. But there's that 10% that just happen to be innocent that need a good defense, and you do your best for every client so that every client is equal under the law, so that those 10% aren't overlooked. Maybe
Yeah.
it's even less than 10%, maybe it's 1%, but you know they don't deserve to be shafted because most people that end up in court, are guilty.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a little tangent there, but I just wanted to say a little defense of the defenders.
Yeah. Yeah, we even have I forgot his name. I think it's like Chad something, I think was his name. Yeah, he basically gets, well, he doesn't get Ben to basically admit to everything, but Ben does end up like admitting that he recreated the universe, which apparently was exactly what the lawyer actually wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because he then brings out like a Tetraman trial by combat, and so Ben like turns into four arms and starts fighting another celestial sapien.
Mm-hmm.
Although he does point out that Ben doesn't, that the Tetraman trial by combat doesn't necessarily require the person fighting to stay a Tetraman if they can change into a different alien.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more of a case of Tetramans haven't encountered that, so they didn't actually have like that a law for that. I'm sure if there were more than one, if there was more than one Omnitrix, and there was a few of them on the Tetraman homeworld, they would probably implement some kind of law about you only being to turn into a specific alien or something.
Right.
But yeah, that's another example of a lawyer like using a loophole to help Ben. Yeah, and Ben even turns into Alien X and actually gets control of Alien X this time. That is a very strange design for a hybrid. And we also had a joke at the very end about when Ben actually when he's told that if he fails, then he would have to what was it? I think it was like pay reparations or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And no one actually says to him what it is, but he just immediately assumes that that the universe will be like destroyed, before he recreated it. I don't know why he assumes that's what would happen, but then we get at the very end where the judge actually says that that the person, like the accused, would well, not the accused, but like the prosecutor, I think, would have to pay a reparation of like 5 bits of tadenite, and Ben's like kind of not necessarily angry, but kind of shocked because he thought the danger present was actually far worse. But actually, it's like if Ben didn't win this court case, he simply would have to pay like 5 bits of tadenite, which he could probably get with not much trouble. Do you have anything else to say about this episode?
Yeah, ultimately, it's an episode that I don't feel really had to happen. And in a way, it's another one of those being punished for saving the universe kind of things. It's like, look, if I hadn't recreated the universe, none of you'd all be here to be trying me in the first place. So get off my ass.
And also the the consequence of him doing that end up being very minor in the long scheme of things. Although obviously he didn't know that when he actually was brought here.
It's like, I could just, unmake the universe if it would make you feel better. You want that?
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now we're on the final two-parter. Weapon 11. So I'm assuming that's meant to say 11, because Roman numerals. For all I know, they could have intended it to be pronounced Weapon XI.
Or maybe pronounce it Z.
Yeah.
True. I can see that.
No, but I think it's meant to be Weapon 11 because Kevin 11,
Yeah.
And now the team ups that have happened throughout the season square off. The Amalgam Kids versus the Rooters.
Yeah. Well, at first they're against them.
Yeah.
And then Cervantes uses his mind control to, or his powers to control them.
Of course.
And of course, we also get a little bit more history of like Kevin in that time between that point in time before he returned at the start of Alien Force, and
right.
And also before Ben takes off the Omnitrix. I do like the fact that in the episode when they're actually talking about it, obviously the first thing you'd probably think of is these characters that they met early in Alien Force. Apparently they saw them earlier than that, sometime shortly after the original series. And obviously the first question would be, how do they meet them, but then not remembering when they meet them in the actual in Alien Force later on. And then they actually this probably wasn't really enough of an explanation, but they did something where they had Gwen say that she didn't realize that was she didn't realize that was Manny, Helen, and Alan, because obviously at that point she hadn't properly met them yet.
Right.
And we also have Kevin mutating again. Although this time they actually revealed that Kevin was actually in control of the mutation this time.
Mm-hmm.
And also he has the X-shaped scar on his chin that we saw the Ben 10,000 future from the original series. When Kevin appeared in that timeline, he had the same scar on his chin. Which, it's nice as a reference to that, but in terms of actually, that makes no sense, because that was a different timeline.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of confusing. And also the the outfit that Kevin is wearing, the Router's outfit that he's wearing. This is also the same outfit that his future self was wearing in like the second Ben 10,000 episode from the original series.
Yeah.
So it's like they're referencing different things, but things from like an alternate timeline. So it's if you're not aware that those things are from an alternate timeline, it's kind of confusing. Although actually if you're not aware of the connection, then you won't even know why those little details are even there to begin with. It's one of those cases where like details are assumed, or like where the audience members are or it's assumed audience members already know what's going on, so they don't even explain it for people who don't know. Do you have much to say about this two-parter?
No, I mean, other than to say that this is the culmination of the season, and it's feeling kind of lackluster to me.
Yeah.
It took too long to get the narrative going. Too few episodes actually had anything to do with the overarching storyline.
Yeah.
And then it's like the whole story is in 2 episodes.
Yeah. It's like set up in an episode in the middle of the season, and then the payoff in a two-parter at the end.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Which there is a chance that some people might even watch, might even watch the final two-part as just one long episode.
Yep.
So then you end up with an episode in the middle of the season, and then one very long episode at the end of the season, and technically that's probably worse because there's even less episodes then.
Yeah.
I do like that the Router's plumber outfits in the past look like the original series plumber outfits, but are like blacked out and a dark grey.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, at least that shows some thought to the progression and the evolution of the outfit. Yep.
Yeah, I don't really have that much to say about
No.
this because it is relatively just. It's weird. They didn't spend enough time really developing it, but at the same time they like in like a two-parter probably should be enough time to create like a satisfying conclusion to the story, but
True.
maybe it's because they didn't spend that much time building up to the conclusion. Maybe that's why it doesn't quite feel as satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Okay, now since this stream technically would have happened last Sunday, but we had to push it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't actually changed the dates for the other 2 streams, so they're still scheduled for the time that I initially created them for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you wanted to, because obviously if I was to then extend both of those 2 out like 2 weeks apart from each other,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously 2 weeks away, or have one be 2 weeks away from this stream, and then the next one be 2 weeks away from that stream, that would bring us like pretty close to Christmas.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to like do that anyway. Have these last two streams go all like right up to Christmas, or if you want to like just push them out before as earlier than that.
I mean, I suppose it's up to you, but this way we end off the year on a good breaking point because it's the end of Omniverse,
Yeah.
and then in the new year we decide what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think yeah. So it would be currently it's scheduled on the 5th because that's what I initially scheduled it for before altering when this one goes. But the altered time would be the 12th and the 26th.
12th and the 26th. Yeah, 26th is Boxing Day. Does
Yeah.
that make a difference to you?
I mean, normally on Boxing Day I would go I would go to my nan's and we'd have dinner there. And we'd normally leave like earlier than 3 o'clock and then come back like after that, after 3. Probably even like after like 5, probably like 5 or 6 when we come back. So we probably won't really have the time then.
Right. So if we keep it on the 5th and the 19th, it doesn't butt up against Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that then. We'll plan for next week then.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't have to change my Alexa reminder.
No, you don't have to change your Alexa reminder.
Yeah, and I can just leave the 2 streams I scheduled as they are.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously next Sunday we'll do season 7. And then the 19th we'll do season 8. Now assuming are we gonna skip over New Year as well?
Yeah, let's then kind of get through the holidays and then we'll pick it up in the new year.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, now I forgot. I keep forgetting my like outro.
Your outro, yeah.
Because of it's how long apart we sometimes end up doing these. Oh yeah, that was it. Let the Matrix light your darkest hour till all are one. Bye.
Take care, everyone.